Hello, hello. I'm just going to make sure I get this pulled up on my iPad. Oops, I'm getting messages already. Hoping that is not something I need to know about. Okay, so. All right. We have people. And I have a cheerleader already. Don't forget to give thumbs up. Yes, give us some thumbs up. We love that. All right, people are rolling in. We're just going to hang tight here for just a minute while people sign in. We are live on both YouTube and Facebook, so we will have people tuning in from both places. Shelby is here with me tonight, and she is going to be posting as two scrapbook friends. So I am good, but I am not good enough to be talking and typing at the same time. So she is going to be moderating. We have figured out how to do links in the comments and all kinds of fun stuff. So it should be a good time. I'm just going to lift up this light a bit and see if I can get rid of that little shadow I have, but it just makes it a wee bit darker, and I don't like that. Oh, well, just don't look in the bottom corner of my screen. Okay, so we are going to get started. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to add this here. If you are tuning in on replay or after the fact, thank you so much for tuning in. So whether you're here live or whether you're here after the fact, we love it. Oh, Marianne says, you're official when you have your own moderator, right? Oh my gosh. Well, I would be nothing without the people behind me, I tell you. Oh, and Melissa's got both Louise and herself watching. Excellent. So Louise is out east, is she? Hello, Louise. Okay, so we're going to get started. We are going to be talking about a suite of products from Tailored Expressions. This is not a new set, but it is one that we love, and especially because it does work really nice for masculine cards as well. So we hear all the time that customers are really struggling with masculine cards, and you can do a lot of different things with sets like this for masculine cards. So I thought we would bring these samples out again, and then I'm going to make a completely different card with you live tonight using this little trailer set and then a few other things. So the first thing I'm going to do is run through the products that were used to make these cards. And Shelby, again, if there's something that I need to know, she's going to flash it up on the screen, so I should be able to see that. We're hoping that works out good. Maybe give it a test, Shelby. Let's just see if it works, just so I can get an idea. There may be a bit of a delay when I see it because I am watching it right in front of me on my iPad, and then my computer monitors. Oh, I do see it. Okay, perfect. Oh, and Judith is watching us on her TV. My mom does that a lot. She loves it. So yes, that works perfect, Shelby. Thank you. So if there's something that I am not catching in the comments, she will throw it up on the screen, and then that way I'll make sure I see it. Okay, so let's push these up a little bit here. They're probably going to be off screen. So the suite of products that I am using are called the Serene Scene products from Tailored Expressions. And the first product in that suite is called the Serene Scene Cutting Plate. And that is this beautiful cutting plate that makes this opening. And that is shown here on this card. So you can see that it creates that beautiful scene. And I mean, this would work for all kinds of different things. It does not have to be for an outdoor scene like a camping scene. You can make this a window for all kinds of things. So it's a great scene building die for sure. And that is the first one. So it cuts out that panel at the front, and it makes the window that you can peek through and put in whatever you want. So the next item is the Serene Scenes Landscapes Volume 2. There is another volume. It's not shown in this set here, but this one does the the hills, the trees, and the mountains. So it is a really cool set for scene building. And then also at this little circle at the top here, you'll see that here in the die set. It does, that can either be the sun or the moon. And then there's also a little die right here, and that actually does the Big Dipper. So you can see the little constellation right here, and that shows the Big Dipper in the sky. So you can have a little fun with that. I know the light's probably a glare on there, but that's what that little die there does. So that is the Landscapes Volume 2. And then the final one is right here. It is the Camping Editions. And that gives you the little trailer and the tent and all the little accessories that go along with that. So you can see the trailer here. And then this card here has the tent and also the little fire. So all of that is in the dies that are part of the suite. And then you can see here the trees and the mountains are being shown again. Okay, so when you combine them all together, you can use the window, you can use just the mountains, you can use just the trees, you can use just the hills, and so on. And then this card here, it is the window is a hexagon instead of the cutting plate. So there's lots of options for mixing and matching. Okay, so that is the Serene Scene suite of products. And then I'm also going to introduce this Stampin' Die set into the mix, and that is called Through the Woods. Now, this is my absolute favorite tree stamp and die set. So I do collect trees. I love making outdoor scenes. I use a lot of my stamps and dies on my scrapbook pages as well. So I like to be able to transfer them over. So this particular stamp set has stamps for all those different trees. And we're going to stamp some of those out to create a background with them tonight. And then there is also a matching die for each one of the stamps. So not only can you stamp the trees, but you can also cut them out, which is super cool. So that is, again, called Through the Woods. And we are also going to use the diagonal stitched rectangle stacklets. Now, I will mention that some of these products are coming soon. They've already been ordered and they're en route to us. Some of them we've put up as pre-order, and some and a bunch of them are in stock. Like all of these are in stock right now. But Shelby has got everything ready. So if things sell out, she'll put them into a pre-order status so that you can get those ordered. So I know that these are sold out, but we do have them ordered and they are en route to us. So I think this one is up as a coming soon. But Shelby is putting links in the comments for you to click on, and then that way you'll be able to find those products easily. And then the other things that we're going to talk about are this sentiment set here. This is the Happy Camper sentiment set. Now, this does not have a die. It's only a stamp, but it's a really cute one, and it's great for using with the camper. It says, well, and even just any kind of outdoor scene. Some of them are camping specific, but some of them are great for just outdoor scenes. So this one says, wander often, wonder always. I love that. I'd rather be glamping. My favorite hotel has way more than 5 stars, which I also really love. RV there yet? Happy camper, enjoy the journey, and always take the scenic route. So it's a really great set to pair up with any kind of outdoor type of thing. And then the other one I'm going to be using on my card is the Dude Sentiments. So these two sets are not available for purchase in stock, but they are up on a pre-order option. So I love the Dude Sentiments. Things like happy birthday, congrats. There's a happy retirement in here. Just a note, this is a dude card. I love that. I have 2 sons, and that's a great one for them. The thank you, hello, happy Father's Day, and thinking of you. So all of those are in this set, and they do come with a matching die set. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so those are the main products that we are using. And I am going to get started on creating the card that I'm going to make tonight. So these are just for inspiration. Okay, so just some ideas on how to use that product suite. We are going to use the camper and the tent, the little fire on the card that I'm using. But I wanted to show you inspiration with all of those as well. Okay, so we'll set these aside and I can bring those back on towards the end of the video. I told Shelby that I was going to be really good tonight and I was going to use my project cart, and that's where all my tools and things have to go when I'm not using them so that I don't lose things. And she asked me if I wanted to put a bet on it, and I said no. Okay, so we're going to start with the card front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put in a sort of border on this, and that is using the diagonal stitched rectangle stacklets. Hello, everyone. We've still got people rolling in, and that's so great. I do see your hello comments. We are going to just add a little border. So this particular die, this does not cut out a rectangle. It only puts this stitching detail into the paper. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this onto my card front. Sorry, my card panel. And I'm just going to tape this into place so it doesn't shift on me when I run it through my die cut machine. And I'll show you what it's going to do. It's going to put that diagonal stitched detail into my card panel and just create sort of a frame or a focal point for my card front. Okay, so I've just got my die cut machine off to the side here, and I'm just going to run this through. And then I will show you why this die set is so great. And so it is a nesting die set. So there is more than one size. So depending on the size of your card panel, you can choose whichever one of these nesting dies you want. This is also available in a mini slim size as well. So it's a great little staple to have on hand. So I'm just going to peel off my tape carefully. And then I'm just going to lift this die off. And as you can see, it has created that border of stitching onto my panel. And I know that's sometimes hard to see. I could come up a little higher. Does that help? Oh, there we go. See how you get that nice stitching around the outside. So now our card panel is kind of ready to go. Now I am going to do a little masking technique to create a backdrop for the trees that I'm going to put on the front of my card. So in order to do that, I'm going to use masking stencils. Oh, and Shelby, this is something I forgot to tell you I was using. So I'm using the Tailored Expressions masking stencils in the rectangles. And this set is, it's got two different stencils. One has a larger rectangle opening and the other one has a smaller one. And then you also get the pieces that sort of pop out of the middle of these. So in other words, if I wanted to place this onto a panel and block that area off and then ink blend around the outside, this part would then remain white and then the color would be around the outside. I'm going to do the opposite to that. I want to actually block out the outer edge. And I want to, is my microphone picking up my birds? Because I have a new microphone and I have a bird right outside my window. It's a cardinal and he's just singing his little heart out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my sticky mat. And we're going to just place this down on here. Okay, and then I'm just going to line up. There's some etched lines on this masking stencil that you can use to line up your card panel, but I'm going to use just this inside opening. I might have to pull it off screen just for a second just to make sure that I get it nice and straight. Sometimes that's hard to do without pulling it back. But this is basically just going to mask off the whole card except for this open area right here. Okay, so all of the outer edge outside of that stitching we added is going to be masked off. And this is the only open area. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to ink blend a background on there. And I'm going to use two different colors of ink. One is a blue for sky. Ugh. And the other is going to be a green for sort of grass. Okay. So we are going to use Saltwater Taffy from Tailored Expressions. And that is going to be for my sky. And then we're going to come in with Pea Pod, and then we're going to do the grass. So I am using the 1-inch blending brushes from Pink Fresh. Whenever I'm doing a background or any stencil that has large openings, I really, really love these brushes. They are so forgiving, and they give you such a smooth and even blend. It's kind of crazy. So that's what I'm going to use to create my sky. And I'm just basically going to start with a light hand and just kind of go across the top of the stencil, bringing in more ink as necessary. I like to kind of come in with a light hand and build up my color. So I sort of take my time. I don't rush the process, just sort of let it build up and happen. And also remember to swirl your brush in different directions, because when the bristles on your brush glide across the edges of the stencil, it picks up the ink a little differently. So you want to make sure you kind of go in both directions. So we're just building up that sky. And you just keep going until you kind of get the blend that you want. And I'm going to stop there. And then we're going to come in with Pea Pod. And we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. And we're going to create the grass. And again, I'm just focusing on the bottom part of the stencil first. I don't start, blending up right away. Just sort of build up that color along the bottom, because I feel like it's going to be the darkest along the bottom, and then it's going to sort of fade out into the sky above. And now the two colors are starting to overlap. So I do want the green to kind of go over top of the blue. And just keep blending until you kind of get that depth that you want. And you can see that it is darker along the bottom, and it kind of fades out up into the top. Now what I'm going to do is come back with my Saltwater Taffy, and I'm just going to blend a little bit where the two colors meet. Okay. Just to kind of blend that ink together. And then we're done. So I will just set those two inks aside here. And I'm just going to clean off my glass mat, just because I don't want to slide anything through there and get ink on stuff that I don't want ink on. Okay. So I'm just going to remove the masking stencil from my card panel. And then I'm going to remove my card panel from the sticky mat. And I'll just hold that up. And you can see how the stitching has framed in that ink blending. Just going to come up a little bit closer just so you can see that stitching on the edge. And how that masking stencil has just masked off that area. So now we've created the area for our scene, and we're going to switch platforms, because what I'm going to do now is bring in my Misty. And you know what? Before I do, I'm going to clean off my stencil, because we're going to need the stencil again. Now, when I clean off my stencils, I like to use alcohol spray. So we sell these really great bottles. They're spray bottles, and you can put your alcohol in there, and it just puts out this beautiful mist that you can spray onto your stencils. And then you just use a little microfiber cloth, and you basically just wipe them off. Now, the beauty of using alcohol is that it dries almost instantly, and it takes off most of, or if not all of the ink and the ink residue on your stencils. So I'm going to just clean that and set it aside, because I know we're going to need it again. Okay, so next up, we're going to bring on our MISTI stamping tool. And in here, I have a sticky mat. So this is a thinner version of a sticky mat. Waffle Flower has grip mats that fit inside the MISTI. Gina K has stamps that fit inside the MISTI as well, but they have a thickness to them. And the stamps that we're using today are red rubber stamps, and they are already thick. Okay, so see how they have that extra thickness in there? So when you use a grip mat or the Gina K sticky mat that goes inside the MISTI, it already has bulk. These are thin. So these are the ones from My Sweet Petunia, the makers of the MISTI. And I think, who else came out with the sticky mats, Shelby? I forget. But these are thin. So they go in and it creates a sticky surface inside of your MISTI. And we want that because we want to stick this panel onto that and still be able to put our stencil in here and also have it stick down to that surface. I mean, you can tape things for sure, but I just find these sticky mats are so easy to use and they do such a great job. And then you don't have to worry about all the tape. So I put my card panel on first onto the sticky mat and now the stencil, and I'm going to stick that down so it's not going to move. And then I usually throw my magnet in here too, but there is a little bit of wiggle room with these mats. As long as you make sure it's pushed into one corner and you do that each time before you stamp, you're totally fine. Oh, Gina K has a thin sticky mat. That's right. So, so she does have an option for that too. So either way, any kind of thin sticky mat is great for this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to start to stamp the trees onto my background, but I don't want it to go outside of this masked off area. And that's why I put the stencil back on. So that's going to protect that outer part of our card panel. And the stamping will only be allowed to happen inside the area that we stencil. So there are quite a number of trees to choose from. I'm going to stick with, I'm not going to use some of these fatter trees just because we're not working in a huge area. So I don't want to fill the space up with big chunky trees. I'm going to kind of stick with the 4 trees along the bottom of my stamp set here. And I'm going to start with this one. And I'm just going to position it kind of where I think I want to put it. Now I want to have some space from the tip of the tree and the edge of the panel. So I'm going to kind of move them down. So the trunks of the trees aren't going to be part of the design. They're going to kind of be off of the page. And I'm just going to kind of put that like right there. I'm just guessing. We're going to close the lid, pick that stamp up, and now we're going to add some ink. So I picked out several green inks from Tailored Expressions, and I'm just going to use a variety of colors. So Peapod we already used to do the base of our card panel. So Peapod is one of them. Green tea, sweet basil, and Brussels sprouts. Okay, so those are the colors that I'm going to use. And I'm going to start off with sweet basil, and I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And the beauty of the MISTI is that you can stamp, and then if it's not right, you can stamp again. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn this around here, and we're going to close that up. And I'm going to get my smoosher, and I'm just going to push down. And now we have a tree, but you can see that I also stamped on my stencil, the masking stencil around the outside. So we want to take a, I'm using a Tidy Towel from Gina K. If you have the stamp chamois from Lawn Fawn, you can use a paper towel. You can use anything, a rag. And you just want to remove that ink from the outside. So now we've got a tree stamped on there, and we're just going to quickly use the stamp chamois and clean off the stamp on the lid there. Take that off. So that can kind of dry. I might bring that one back on again. And now we're going to pick our next tree. Okay, so we're going to pull in this tree here. Okay. And you're just going to kind of, well, what I want to do is sort of stagger where the tops are. You don't want like a line of trees because trees don't really grow like that. They're kind of, some are a little taller, some are a little shorter. So I'm just going to place the next stamp next to this, and I'm going to overlap it a little bit. I want the trees to be kind of together. And again, I'm going to close the lid, pick up the stamp, and then I'm going to add some ink. So this time I'm going to use, what am I going to use? I'm going to use Brussels sprout. Okay, so I'm going to stamp up my stamp, and I'm just going to close the lid, just making sure that I've pushed my mat over as far as it'll go. Grab my smoosher and stamp. Okay, so again, you can see that part of the stamp went on the stencil and part of it went on the paper, and that's what we want. So I'm just going to clean off the stamp. I know you can't see that part. And then we're going to pick another tree. So this time, I think I will go with this tall, skinny one. And I'm going to kind of go like over here, but I'm going to kind of go a little taller this time. And again, close that lid. And this time around, we're going to use pea pod. Okay. So again, I'm just going to ink it up, and I'm sorry if I'm off screen and you can't see me. Oh, no, you can. Everyone's so very quiet. nobody's saying anything. Okay, and then we will just smoosh that on there. Okay, so now we've got, see how we're getting the different shades of green? Which makes for a very interesting design. Now, I'm not cleaning off my stencil each time. I'm just being very careful not to smudge the ink. Okay, and now I am going to come in again with that. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to come in with this tree. So this one's a little wider because we've got a bigger space over here. And we're just going to place that right there. And I'm also going to use the pea pod over here as well because we're far enough away from that tree. I did get a little bit of the ink from the stencil onto this tree, but I'll just stamp over it. It'll be good. All right, and now we're going to close the lid and smoosh. How do I like the tidy towel? Well, I do like the tidy towel. So I'll be completely honest. When Gina K first came out with her tidy towel, I hated it because it fell apart. I've always had a Lawn Fawn stamp chamois. So, but mine, so I had my chamois, oh gosh, it must be, 8 years. Well, since the chamois came out, I've had the same chamois. So I recently threw it out, and I knew I had another stamp chamois around, but I couldn't find it anywhere. But I had been given one of these tidy towels. It's the new and improved one. As part of a kit for a retailer event. And so I used it. And this one is thicker now. So it is much nicer. So either the stamp chamois from Lawn Fawn or the tidy towel from Gina K, they are both great. And Shelby is saying something. What is she saying? There are good instructions. Yes, there are good instructions to follow because you don't want your towel to be too dry when you are scrubbing on your stamps, because then it can fall apart, and you don't want that. So as long as you keep it good and moist, it's good. Okay, so now I think I want to bring in, I kind of want to bring this tall, skinny tree just kind of like right in here. So we're going to bring that one back over, and I'm going to go in with this sweet basil ink. I haven't used green tea yet either. So I think I'm going to I don't want it to look too full. I don't know if I want to do that. I might go with that wider tree over here, and I might go low. And I think we're going to go in with this Brussels sprouts again. Yeah, they do. The chamois and the tidy towels, they do last a very long time. They don't look very pretty after a while, but they do last for a very long time. And that's really the only thing that I clean my stamps with. I very rarely pull out stamp cleaner. I almost always, you know what? I haven't used green tea yet. Let's try that. I don't even know what color this is. I don't think I used green tea yet, but we're going to use it now. Okay, so now we're going to come in and we're going to stamp here. Okay. Oh, that looks nice. Look at that. Okay. So now we're going to do the peel and reveal, which is one of my favorite parts when you use stencils and masks and fun things like that. So I'm just going to turn this around here so you can see. Okay, so we're going to take away the magnet here for a second. We're going to peel off of this mask. Okay, I'm going to set that aside so I don't get ink everywhere. And then when I take something off of the sticky mats, I actually bend the sticky mat, and then your paper will kind of come off on its own, and then you can just peel it off from there. If you try to like peel your whole paper off, sometimes it curls, but look how awesome that turned out. Isn't that great? And see how everything is contained within the masking of that stencil, which I just love. So that's a pretty fun scene right there. And if you know me, I love to go places that look like this, so it's extra cool. Okay, so now I'm going to slide my MISTI out of the way. I'm putting it over here on my project cart so I don't lose it, along with my sticky mat and my ink pads, so that I do not lose all the things. Okay, so this part of our scene is completed. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to actually cut out a couple of trees, and I want to, stamp them and die cut them so that I have actual trees that I can pop up. So I'm going to set this panel aside, and I'm going to pull in a piece of Neenah 110 cardstock, and we're going to actually just stamp out some trees onto here. So the tree stamp is really amazing to be able to stamp right on things, but it's also really amazing because you can actually die cut the trees out, which I really like. And that gives you dimension. And I like to be able to have some dimension on my card. So I don't really need this sticky mat in here now. So I'm going to take that out. And I'm just going to slip my card panel in here. Like so. And I'm going to choose this tree here. And I'm going to choose this tree here. Okay, so kind of one bigger one and one smaller one. And I'm just going to set the lid down there and pick that up. And then I want to actually do these trees in different colors. Okay, so the first one I'm going to do in sweet basil. And that's going to be the big tree. I think that should be good. So sweet basil. And again, if I don't get a good stamp the first time, I can go and stamp it again. Okay, I've got a comment. This is my first time watching the live video from Two Scrapbook Friends. Well, welcome, Judy. We do a lot of Facebook Live videos. Well, I say Facebook Live. So you're, I don't know, where's Judy coming from? Judy is watching from YouTube. And we do it on Facebook and on YouTube. We used to just do Facebook, but they kind of changed the rules. So then we had to go with other options, and we're just figuring all of that out right now, but we are 75% there. So there's always room for improvement. Okay, so I've got two different colors of trees. I'm just going to put a little bit more ink on here because I took too long. Okay, and now we're going to close this up and we're going to stamp those. And then we're going to see if we need to stamp again. We do not. They look great. Okay. Got to make sure I get the right lid on the right pad. Okay. And then we are going to die cut these out. So in the set, there is a stamp and a die. Okay, one more thing I got to do. Clean this off. So these trees, this one here, this has a lot of grooves in it, and you'll notice that there is like ink going in here, and I'm not quite getting it out with my chamois. So this is a time when I might take this stamp afterwards and just go to my laundry room sink, and I have a nail brush there, and I use like a little bit of dish soap and the nail brush, and I just scrub it till you get all the little grooves cleaned out, and then just let it air dry, because I'm not getting them all out with the chamois. So that's a time when I would probably clean my stamp a little bit better than I do with just the chamois, but in most cases, it does clean everything quite well. Okay, so now we're going to pull out the dies. And there is a die for every tree. And they're very easy to line up once you find the right die. There we go. So that's this one. And this is this one. Okay, so now I've got some tape that I'm just going to tape these into place. And then I'll just quickly run them through my die cut machine. And I always say in my videos, I always feel pressure to hurry when I'm doing a live, because I know it's boring to sit and watch some of this stuff. But this is a time when you don't want to rush. You want to make sure you get that die lined up perfectly, because otherwise you're going to end up stamping again. And that's never good. Okay, and now we're going to just put the tape. I have it stuck to my desk over here. Just going to stick the tape on this one, and then we can run it through in one pass. But you can stamp these trees out in lots of different colors. I've even seen cards made where they do like rainbow colored trees. And I know that's not a real thing in the real world, but in the card making world, you can do whatever you want. so you can make them whatever color you want. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and that's not straight. Okay, there we go. All right, we're going to run that through the die cut machine, and we're going to end up with two beautiful trees that we can then use some foam adhesive on and create some dimension on our background, which I really like to do, because some of the trees being flat on the background is really great, but to be able to add extra trees and pop them up is kind of fun. And these are going to overlap. So they're going to kind of go off to the side here. And just kind of overlap the trees that are there. So it's going to end up kind of like something like that. Now this is where the trailer is going to come into play. So we're going to build a scene on top of our scene and create some dimension and just make it look like the forest is kind of in the background, which I think is super fun. Okay, so I'll just put my tree dies on my panel and then put it over on my cart like a good girl. so I don't end up losing all the things. Okay, so there we have our trees and we have our panel. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. And now I did a little bit of die cutting ahead of time. I actually did it twice just in case I messed something up. But here are all of the die cuts that I have cut out using that Camping Editions die set from the Serene Scene suite from Tailored Expressions. Okay, so we've got all the pieces for the trailer and the tent. And then I did feel like I needed to put the ground on my scene. So that's what these panels are here. I'm going to create some dirt along the bottom. And then that way it will just sort of ground everything and it doesn't look like my camper's floating in the trees. So we're only going to put together one camper. I'm going to sort of put my pieces up to the top here and I will work, maybe I'll put them to the side. I will work right here. Okay, so this is where we need our glue press because we're going to be doing some gluing with tiny pieces. Now, the glue press is such a great tool. If you don't have one of these or haven't tried one of these, it's pretty fun because you can really control the amount of glue that comes out of here. Now, I never put the lid on my glue press unless I'm traveling somewhere. So the lid just sits right here. Inside the lid, there is a little pin that you can put on here and just sort of probe the opening. But I also like to have a little stainless steel pin on hand, and that way I can push this right inside that nozzle. And that just kind of makes sure that it's cleared out. There is a little silicone pad inside here, and the nozzle sits on there. So if it's just a day or so, it doesn't, I won't say clog. It doesn't stop flowing. But if I leave it sit for several days or a week or 2 weeks, sometimes I just need to take that pin and just give it one little probe and it's good. But the whole time I'm using the glue press, it never ever clogs up on me. It's just so great. Okay, so what are we saying about subscribing? I have subscribed and hit the notify me bell so I will know when they have videos. Yes, definitely, definitely. And what I'm trying to get in the habit of doing now with our videos is to send an email out ahead of the fact that we're going live, because I know that social media tends to decide what you get to see, and sometimes people don't find out about it. And I know that on Facebook, the notifications don't always work well. So I'm trying to get in the habit of sending out an email. Sometimes they are last minute, but for the most part, I try to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to assemble our little camper. Okay, so I've decided to do the camper in similar colors to what Amanda did on her cards. What did I do with the cards now? Just a minute. I do not think I lost them. But I can't find them right this minute. How do you lose cards? Oh, I put them on the shelf. They're at the bottom. Here we go. So she did this sort of teal camper. Now, I thought it looked really cool. Thank you. It's on the card. Yes. So I loved the way the teal kind of blended in with the outdoor scene. Like there's a black and white camper. I didn't like that one quite as much. And I loved the way that it worked here. So I decided to go with similar colors to what Amanda did. But you can make your campers any color you want. That's the beauty of die cuts. You can cut them out of whatever you want to. So I'm going to use my glue press and I'm just going to put some glue on here. And this is where the glue press is so cool. You can control the amount of glue that's coming out. And like, if you want the tiniest little dot, you can do the tiniest little dot. If you want to do a line, you can do a line. Whatever you need is what's going to happen. Now I need one of Amanda's cards here so I can see how you put this thing together. I just want to make sure I do it right. Okay, so we've got that piece. We're just going to slide that glue into place, and we have the top part of the camper. Now you will see me grabbing these little magnets. I'm working on a glass board that is magnetic, and these magnets, when I put them on here, will just push down on the die cut and hold it in place while I'm working on the next step. We are sold out of the magnets now, but next week we have a big shipment of magnets coming in. Plus we have some new products coming in as well. So there's going to be lots more on the way. Our glass board sales have been extremely successful. So we ran out of a few things, but we have them ordered and they will be back in stock next week. So we are excited about that. So while I'm just allowing that glue to set up on the trailer, we just added one section to the tent. And now we're going to add the door to, looking at the wrong trailer. Okay, so we're going to add the door to our camper. Okay, so that's pretty easy to do. Now, I'm sure that the camera won't show this, but the door, it has etching in it, like panels, and that comes from the die. So it does all of the work for you. Is the glue press hard on your wrist? Absolutely not, Judy. It's very, very easy. A lot of people that have hand issues love the glue press. This little handle gives you lots of leverage, and you just have to give a light squeeze and the glue just starts coming out. It's very, very easy to control, and you basically don't have to squeeze at all. It's so nice. So it's definitely designed for people. Well, it's not designed for people. It definitely is nice for people that have issues with their hand. I have issues with my eyes. I can't see. That doesn't really help me, but yes, Amanda's joking that if she put the trailer together properly, it will look good. Yeah, well, let's hope you did, because, well, I think yours looks good, so I'm fine. It's going to look like yours. Okay, and I'm going to add this little piece here for the tent. This is the final layer. And all these little layers are very cool. It really gives your tent and your trailer a realistic look. So now I'm a big fan of using tweezers when I do small pieces like this. I let the tweezers do the work for me. Okay, and then now we have the little canopy that kind of goes across the top here. And Amanda has hers popped up, so I'm going to do that too. I like to use dimension on some things on my card, and this is one of those times. Now, I like to use a big roll of foam tape, and then I cut down the pieces to fit what I'm working on. And I love that flexibility. The one I'm using is from Altenew, but we also have the Scotch brand as well. And we also have the Scrapbook Adhesives brand. So we have got lots of options if you like to try a large roll. I put the date on my roll last year, and it lasted me almost a full year. And I do quite a bit of crafting. Like, I do a lot. So I think it's a good investment. And again, if you just want small pieces, you can cut small pieces. Yes. So Judy said she's going to put the glue press on her shopping list. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of our video that you should have your notebooks out, because you want to make sure that you make notes on the things that you see that you like, so that you have something to go back and refer to. So this is the awning on the trailer. Right now they can't open the door because it's covering the awning, but I'm going to say that that's depth perception, because I think the awning will come out far enough that they can actually open the door. Okay, and then we're going to add the little wheel. How do you like the Altenew versus the other one? Okay, so here's the thing. I am very lucky. I get to try a lot of different products. So Scrapbook Adhesives is a good adhesive. It is my least favorite of the 3 rolls. It is also the least expensive. Does it stick? Yes. But I find it's not as firm as I would like it to be. So I find it's not my favorite of the 3. Now, if you don't use the other 2, it might be something that you really like. Then I like the Scotch next. It was the one that I used until I tried the Altenew one. And I will say the Altenew one is my favorite. It's very tacky. They have lots of options as far as widths of tape and thicknesses of tape. So there are more options for them, which is nice too. So either one, you can't go wrong with all 3. We wouldn't carry them if we didn't endorse them. But my personal preference is the Altenew one, followed by Scotch, and then the Scrapbook Adhesives is my least favorite. So, so that's where I stand on that. Okay, so we've got the tent and we've got the trailer. Do we have all the pieces to the trailer? I think so. So it even has the little hitch on the trailer, which is cute. Okay, and then we have a little fire that we're going to build as well, and that's going to help create our scene. So there's a couple of little logs, and you might think, oh my gosh. Well, no worries. When you have a glue press, it's not a problem. You just put a little dab of glue there in the center, and with your tweezers, you're just going to make an X like so, and then stick your magnet on there. And then you have the flame, which is 2 pieces. So you've got the larger piece for the back. And whoops, I'm just going to put some adhesive on the smaller piece. So I did the back in orange and then the front in like yellow. And I'm just going to layer that on top. And there's kind of an area on the orange piece that's raised up, and that kind of shows where you're supposed to put the flame. So that's just going to sit on there like that. Okay, so I think we have all our pieces assembled. The next thing I'm going to make is that piece of ground that I said that I would like to have on. Oops, I forgot to stick my fire together. We have to put the flame on the logs. So we're just going to pop that in there. I made mine too much of an X. I wanted it more spread out. Ugh, okay, hold on. Let's see if I can move this. You want a wide X. It might be stuck already. No, I can move it. So make it a wide X, because then that way your flame will sit kind of in the middle and you can see both pieces. I like Amanda's better. She did a better job with her flame and her fire. Okay. So we've got all of our pieces assembled. Now we're going to go back to our panel. And I am going to create just some ground. So you can use a die. There is in this landscapes set, there is a die that does the ground, but for me, I went landscape on my card and it wasn't wide enough. So I decided I'm going to cut a piece of craft and I'm just going to tear the edge and I'm going to put that down. What brand of tweezers are you using? So these particular tweezers are not available anymore. I don't even know where I picked these up. They're really old, but we have some favorites that are very similar to this. Spellbinders makes a nice pointy tweezer. And if you like reverse grip tweezers, Spellbinders also has a nice reverse grip one, and they're nice and pointy. And to me, that is key. If your points are not pointy enough, it's hard to pick things up. So, yeah, I feel like it's really important that they're pointy. And I'm getting used to reverse grip tweezers. My brain doesn't work very well with reverse grip. I prefer to squeeze and hold, but sometimes these do come in handy. And so I'm starting to play with these a little bit more, but both of them are nice and pointy, and that is key. So we have a couple of other brands of tweezers as well. I try to really look for ones that are pointy. Okay, so for my ground, I'm going to take this. This is a 3/4 inch strip, and I'm just going to tear it kind of down the middle. And it's a guided rip. You're not just going to like rip it. You have to kind of guide it. And when you rip it, you're going to end up with 2 edges. You can flip this one over, but this piece here, you want the fuzzy edge to be the part that faces you. And that is going to end up going like right along the base of my card here. And it's going to match right up with that masking line that we created with our ink. So that's going to kind of go like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that in. And you'll notice I'm grabbing my tweezers again. Whenever I can get my hands out of the way, I do. And that's why I feel like the tweezers are such a great option. And with all of the dies that are out on the market now, and they're so teeny tiny, it's just so much nicer to work with the tiny pieces and the tweezers. Okay, there we go. Started on Facebook, but it gave me, sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. Well, see, YouTube's the place to be, I guess. Okay. So next up, we are going to attach our dimensional trees, and we're just going to do that with some foam adhesive. So I've got a couple of options here. I can lay the big one flat against the background and then just pop up this front one, which might be kind of nice. It still gives it a different look than being stamped directly onto the background because it has that white edge around the outside. So I'm going to stick the largest tree down flat. And again, my glue press is doing all the work here for me. In and out of all these little grooves. And I'm just putting a nice light coating of glue on all those pieces. And then this is just going to go down. And this tree is pretty much the height of my panel. So it's going to go off at the top and off at the bottom. And I'll hold that up a little bit so you can see it just once it dries. I'm just going to put some magnets on here just to hold that down. And this one is the one we're going to put some foam adhesive on. So again, I'm going to go back to that big roll, and I'm just going to cut little slivers to be the size that I want to fill in the spaces. And when you buy foam squares or dots or whatever, you have to cut them in half and piece them. And this way, I find I just have less waste, and it's just really easy to fill up the back with the pieces that I cut off. Sorry, sometimes I cannot talk and think at the same time. So my words stop and my brain is still going. Okay, how's everyone doing? Good? Got a nice group of people here tonight. Thank you everyone for coming out and spending time with us on your Thursday night. I know you have lots of options. Okay, so here is the panel with the tree stuck to the back, and you'll notice that it goes outside of the masking at the top and the bottom, and that's okay. To me, it kind of gives it the illusion that the tree is just a little bit closer than the ones that are in the background. Okay, and now we're going to take the one with the foam adhesive, and we're just going to layer that over top. Like so. Okay. Now, you could stop here, and you could just put a nice greeting on here and finish off your card, and I think it would make a really great masculine card. Just perfect. Okay, so Judy wants to know what the stamp is for the trees. Okay, I will show you because you're a little bit late, no problem. So we are working with Through the Woods from Tailored Expressions, and this is my absolute favorite tree stamp and die. So the background on my panel, I just stamped the trees, and then these, I actually use the dies to cut them out. So you have options with that set. You can do both. So I think it would be very cool just to put a greeting on here and kind of be done the card. But, oh, Judy, oh, I have that. Yay. But I thought it might be fun to add some of the outdoor elements from this set to this as well. So if you're making a card masculine and you don't want to add the camping element to it, you don't have to. But I just think it looks really cool. So I'm going to move my trailer right down, and then my tent is going to kind of tuck in behind so it gives it some elevation. So we're kind of going to create the scene that way. Okay, so this trailer is going to be flat against the background and kind of even with my dirt. Yep, kids in the tent, parents in the trailer, 100%. Kids like going in the tent. I do not anymore. I've done that. No more for me. I like the conveniences of a trailer. Okay, and then I'm going to put my trailer at the front here. I mean, you could even just do the tent. How cute is that? And my wheel is going to kind of be down onto the panel outside of that stitching that we added. And I like the way that that looks, just to pull it a little bit outside the frame. And I'm going to add some more foam adhesive to that because I want to pop that up. So this time I want a bigger piece. Karen's supposed to be in bed. Well, you could take this video to bed with you. Do you have an iPad or a phone? You could watch it in there. I've been in bed with a lot of people. You just take me wherever you need to take me. Okay, now we're going to take the foam adhesive off of there. I know, right? I've been in bed with a lot of people. It's true. Okay, now we're going to attach our little camper. Again, leaving that tent visible in the back there. Oh my gosh, how cute is that? And then we're going to, with foam adhesive, we're going to put our little fire kind of like right down in here. So we've kind of created this whole little scene. And look, I have a little teeny piece of foam adhesive right here. Okay. And we're just going to put that fire right there. Hopefully those people don't come out of that tent too fast because they're going to walk right into it, but it does look pretty cool. Okay, so now we've got our little camping scene going on in the woods, and I've left enough space up here to put a sentiment. So a couple of things. I am going to use the, let me find it. It's right here. I'm going to use the Dude Sentiments. So I could turn this into a birthday card. I can turn it into a Father's Day card. But there is someone that we know right now that just finished some cancer treatments. and he's a guy that we race with. And he often camps at the track. I mean, we don't have all these beautiful trees and things, but he often camps at the track, and we're kind of missing in him. So I thought of putting just a note on this, because this is a card that I could send him in the mail. And on the inside, I would put a personal message that would just encourage him and tell him we hope that he feels better and we're thinking of him. So I'm going to create the sentiment that I have stamped out, but I thought about this afterwards, and I thought this is the perfect card to send to him. So I'm going to be putting just a note on my card, but I'm going to go through the process of how I do the sentiments, because I think it's pretty cool. I showed it in a video earlier this week, or was it last week? I don't remember. And I'm just going to show it again. So I'm just going to set this panel aside for a minute, and I'm going to bring the MISTI back on. Woo! And I'm also going to need my alignment grid and my sticky mat. So this is kind of something new that I am doing when I do my sentiments, and it works for all die cuts. So we could have done it with the trees and stuff like that too. But this is kind of a new way for me to line up sentiments really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the, we'll do happy birthday. So I'm going to get the stamp, and I'm just going to put it anywhere here. Pick it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this clear alignment guide. This is from Tailored Expressions. It comes in a pack with several different sizes. And this is what I'm going to test, this is what I'm going to stamp my sentiment on. And then we're going to slip my die cut underneath this and get it lined up, and then remove this and then stamp. So I'm just going to put this little template down. I'm going to put it right down in the corner. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment. Now, I like to use the VersaFine Clair Nocturne for my sentiments. And I just want to point out, how far into this video are we? I have not lost anything yet. We are an hour in, and I still know where everything is. It's a miracle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp that down. Okay, so now it's on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my die cut. So this is the die that would cut out your stamped image. And I'm going to take my tweezers, and I'm going to slip this underneath my alignment panel. And it's going to stick to the sticky mat once I get it in place. Okay, I got to get a better grip on this. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to put it right in behind. And you can kind of see if it is lined up over top of your die cut. So it's perfect. I'm just going to adjust this just a little bit. And then there's actually something that you can do if you want to do multiples of this then. And someone touched on it when I was doing my video the other day. Okay, so that's lined up really good. So now I'm going to remove the alignment guide. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure that that's stuck down there. Now, what you can do before you stamp or before you remove this is you can die cut out a piece that has, so here's the tree paper that we cut the trees out of. I'm going to go ahead and take the die for happy birthday, which is this one right here. And I'm going to just cut it out of this area right here on my die cut machine. I'll show you what I'm going to do. I should probably use a thicker paper, but this will work. Okay, so this is what you can do. And you can do this and eliminate this step altogether, but I find that step helps me really line it up. Okay, so what you've got now is you've got another piece like this. We're not going to use that. I'm interested in this window here. So I'm actually going to cut that out. And what I'm going to do is place this over top of that, and it's going to become a template. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment. And get our smoocher. Okay. We can pull that die cut out. So we've got one stamp. So now I can take a bunch of other pieces that I've done and I can just put that back in there. And I can stamp again. So if you want to do multiples of the same thing and you don't want to keep lining up your die all the time, this is a great way to do that. Oh, what did that little note say? It's gone now. I thought you were going to put just a note. I am going to do the just a note for myself. I'm not going to stick this on, but this is the one that I had cut out, and I thought about that afterwards. So I decided that that's what I was going to do, but I wanted to show you how I go through this. But on my card, when I stick it down, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on just a note so that I can send this card to him, because I think he would appreciate getting a card. And what I'm thinking I might do is take it to the next race and have a whole bunch of people sign it. And then I would send it to him. So I think he would really like that. And again, I don't have very many masculine cards made up in my stash. So I'm really excited that this kind of works out. Okay. So now once I do my sentiment, I like to stack them, and I'm going to go ahead and finish this sentiment off because I'll just put it in my stash, and that way I can use it when I want the happy birthday saying. But this is another little trick that I learned. I think it was Kathy Zielski that I saw it from, but somebody said they saw Jennifer McGuire do it too. And who knows, maybe they saw each other do it. Okay, such a good tip on how to stamp. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just add glue to both of these die cuts. So this is just the backer die, like the die that you use to cut around your stamp. And I've cut it out twice, and I cut it out of 110-pound cardstock. So it's a little bit thicker, and I'm going to stack my sentiments. I really like to do that. But if you do all the gluing in one step, you can just literally put these on top of each other like this. Don't worry about lining it up right away. And then once you get them all together, then line them up. Then you're only having to fuss with it one time. And then you throw a magnet on there to put some pressure on it. And then we would go ahead and put that on. Now, I'm not going to stick mine on, but I do want to finish the card. So I'm just going to grab a card base. And then I do have room behind my panel to put a mat. And I think I like the craft paper as the backing for that. So I have some craft here. And I think I'm going to cut a panel that will go behind this. Look, I even have my trimmer out, and I knew where it was. Okay, so a card panel is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to start by cutting it that big. And then I will decide how much to trim it down. Sometimes I like to have, see, I'm thinking and I can't talk. Okay, so this would cover the whole front of the card. So it would be craft and then the panel. So I think that looks pretty good. And then my happy birthday or just a note or whatever is going to float around up here. So that's going to be kind of how it is when it's finished. The other option I have is to trim my craft down just a little bit more. And then I would have white craft and then white. What do you guys think? How do you like? Do you want to cover the card base completely, or do you want to have 3 layers of matting? I'm just going to wait and see what people say here. If they say anything, maybe you don't care. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't mind it looking like this. Wow, that's a really cool card. I quite like that. Nobody has anything to say? You like it as it is? Okay, that's cool. 2 layers are great. Okay, we're going to do that. Okay, we're going to just leave it at this. So this is where I have to decide if I want to pop it up again. So I think what I'm going to do is pop this panel onto here, and then this craft will be flat against the card base. So I'm just going to add again a little bit of the glue from my glue press. Okay, and that is going to go on top of here. And what I do is I just kind of plunk it down and then I slide it into place. Oops. As I say that. Because the glue will kind of give you a minute to swoosh around. Okay, there we go. Oh, I said I was going to pop that up. Okay, well now I'm going to pop up this part. No, I'm not. We're not popping anything. I said I was going to pop it and I didn't pop it. Duh. Okay, let me just finish this off. And then normally the last thing I would be doing on this card is putting like some crystals or jewels, but I'm just not sure on a masculine card you need it. I do have a few things in my stash that are kind of neutrals. So I might play around with that, but I might not do it. Okay, so then we're just going to slip this on here. And again, that gives me just a little bit of wiggle room to line that all up. There we go. And we're going to pretend that I actually stuck this on there like so. Now, the only other thing I did think of doing, and I did cut out the circle. So see how Amanda's cards have the sort of sun/moon up in the sky. I thought of adding that kind of up in and behind here, which isn't a bad thing either. I kind of like the way that that looks. What do you guys think? Just a little something in the sky. So kind of like that. So that would be the finished card. Oh my God, I love this. What do you think? Lots of thumbs up. I mean, it really looks like they are camping in the woods. It's just amazing. I love it. What about the far right? Okay, you want it on the other side? Righty. Could totally, I think that gives it better balance. There's more of an open space there. I love it. So that is my masculine card. And again, I'm just going to bring in the samples that Amanda did using the Serene Scene products. So we've got the one using the cutting plate that creates that really cool window. And I mean, think about it. If you didn't want to use the mountains and the trees, you could stamp a background like this, and then the window could peek through to that. It would be very, very cool. So you could do lots of cool things, but just some different ideas on how you can use that combination of products together and create some pretty fun cards. So yes, Shelby is always right. She's very good at being right. Okay. I think that's, am I forgetting to tell you anything? I don't think so. Hopefully you enjoyed the inspiration. Thank you, Shelby, for being my moderator and adding all the links and popping questions up into the screen so that I can see them. Does anybody else have any questions that they want answered? No? Okay, well, that's it for tonight then. I'm going to sign off and we will see you again soon.